What is up, my lovely people in Blue Cranium land? So for today's video, guys, I'd like to show y'all how I did this goofy little skeleton without no jaw from start to finish. So I think these skeletons, since they're so simple, they make good ideas for t-shirts or stickers and everything in between. And there goes my power. The joy of drawing digitally in this side of the world. But anyway, as I was saying, is these skeletons, since they are easy and not as intricate as the ones I've drawn in my past videos, I think they're a good starting point and also like a good learning experience. So with that being said, go ahead and grab your papers, maybe pencils or a marker. And if you have a tablet, start the tablet up, grab your stylus, and let us get started. So for this fellow, pretty much you start with the nice little circle, kind of like a squished one. And drew this half a rectangle to show where his teeth would be. And draw a line for the nose. And this is pretty much just a basic, really rough sketch, and with this you can pretty much draw any skeleton, or any style. The eyes don't really have to be oval like this. They could be rectangular, they could be square. So so that'll be the little box for the neck. And then draw this little line. That'll be part of the shoulder. And then just block in where the shoulder joint would be. And once again, as I said, since this is rough, you can pretty much play around with any shape. So since I wanted to keep this as simple as possible, I went with just these nice little fat ribs. Do another one over here. And then I'll just go ahead and repeat the exact same thing on the other side. And when you're drawing this, you gotta also keep in mind that you can, tweak it. The shape does not really have to be exactly how this is. This is just to get a basic understanding of where everything is gonna go. So for this part, being the arms, I drew this rectangular, not rectangular, sorry, more like a cylindrical shape. So that's gonna be part for the biceps or bonecepts. I don't know if that's the real word, but and then block off the part where the pelvic bone's gonna be. Drawing like this loose and just like in a scribble type of format really helps you build up on the design as to what you want it to be. This design kind of looks like he's kind of just be like, ho ho ho, you're all, yeah. I know he kind of looks a little bit stiff, like as if he were dipped in starch, but hey, it's a goofy skeleton. The other thing nice about drawing digitally, as I've said in the other videos, is you can always size things down and increase it, decrease it. Because now if I was doing this on paper, I would just have to work with the size I was getting on the paper, and just build off that. So that's the easy part, I guess, when it comes to drawing digitally. So now we got a basic skeleton over here. So now let's go ahead and turn the opacity down to about maybe 20. so we can see what we have to work with. And pretty much to do the inking, I mean, I just choose like a darker shade of the color and use the streamline brush. I mean, not streamline, I'm sorry. It's one of the inking brushes, and they're just basically standard ones that come default with Procreate. Do this oval for the first eye, and then do another oval for the second eye. And once again, as I said, I mean, you can do the eyes and the shape any way you want. It could be circles. For the nose, it could be rectangular. I mean, you know, play around with it. This is just, as I said, like, you know, just a demo of what I do. And the base underlayer, which is the rough sketch, which is below this, is just a guide. As I said earlier, you know, I mean, you can build off anything you want. I mean, you can use this as one, then maybe go ahead and change up the rough sketch again, and then build off another skeleton, and you know, just keep on building. I mean, the only way to get good at this is if you practice. So as you can tell, for this one, I was going like really simple compared to the other skeleton I usually draw. And then I went ahead and dropped the colors into this, so it just looked like his eyes were hollow, and there was nothing, there was no pupil or anything going on, so you know, got this goofy little cylindrical shape for his neck. And now I'm gonna build his shoulder. I really do like the brush sensitivity of these digital brushes, which I think personally you can only get this effect is if you use like what is it called, those paint brushes. Never been able to get this effect with like a traditional ballpoint pen unless you like build off the stroke with more lines, you know, to get the line thicker or thinner. But doing it digitally, I mean, is really enjoyable and fun to do. Now I go ahead and build the first rib. I was actually going to make the ribs look a little bit 3D, but then I was like, you know, that would make it more complicated, so I just kept it as is. Then go ahead and draw the second rib. And now do the exact same thing on, well, it doesn't have to be the exact same thing. I mean, you just duplicate it the best you can, because I mean, in real life, I mean, you know, there's no proper symmetry or symmetry. And one thing I notice is when you draw the bones as beefy looking like this, as I said, like, you know, if you were doing this as a t-shirt design, it's a whole lot better with the finish art, because when you turn off these sketch lines and it's just the ink that prints out with the bone, in this case being thick, it has a lot of area to cover and it looks really cool on a t-shirt. That is something I was thinking about doing as a video, but I was just not sure how to go about actually doing it. I mean, because there are so many other artists that have done videos like this, and you know, I guess if I do it, it'll just be my take on how I do designs for t-shirts, and then use the exact same design to repurpose it for a t-shirt, I'm sorry, a sticker and a print and so on and so forth. So this part now I gave a little bit of line work to show the cracks in the bone. And if you'll notice, you probably already did, I didn't go ahead and do any of the hands because I just think that would just complicate things, and that's a video by itself, you know, just drawing hands. Which, my gosh, I mean, hands are one thing that takes a whole lot of patience to draw because there's so many different angles they can be illustrated in. So yeah, I just want to keep it simple and just draw him without no hands or feet. But another one thing I really want to learn is how to make Procreate brushes. I think there's a whole lot of different styles and a whole lot of different brushes that you can come up with from just, simple brushes. And I think the brushes that I think I have a whole lot of fun using is those textured brushes that almost have like a spray spatter look to them. And I think it's part of one of the Procreate brushes. It's under the textured brushes, and when you're coloring in a skeleton, it helps with giving it that nice textured look for the bone, because I don't know, how do you say it? It definitely looks like digital paint spatter. It's nice to give that nice look. I mean, I think you can get the same effect in vector, but it takes some finagling where you gotta manually make the dots and then just merge the layer, and then until you finally get something close enough to a spatter look. Like for me, usually if I was doing a spatter look for the bones, what I would do is I would look up designs on Pinterest or Google in a drawing that has had a spatter effect, and just kind of study it to see how the paint or the digital paint was applied. Or just look at pictures of artists that have done abstract art to kind of study how to get a nice illustration look to the drawing. Like the bottom line is not the bottom. I don't know why I'm thinking like Stone Cold Thoughts. The goal is, when I draw my skeletons, I like having them have that nice textured, weathered look. And knowing how to design brushes can definitely get you a customized look. Like you can make the skeletons have that textured look with the brushes that are there by default in Procreate. But I think when you make something of your own, it gives it that nice personal touch. And then what's also nice is you can actually even, I know there are a lot of artists that actually sell their brushes that they have made. It's fairly cheap, and you can get that look that you're going for. But yeah, it's been a while since I've drawn in Procreate. Most of my drawings and videos what I've posted up until now have all been done in Adobe Fresco, which is really cool to draw in. Once you draw with the vector brush, it's very addicting to see those smooth, crispy lines. Because in raster it looks good from far, but then when you zoom in, you see those pixels, and you're like, pixels. But one thing for sure, what's there is pixel brushes definitely have a much more friendlier drawing approach to them. Because the vector brushes take a lot of time to render as you're drawing, so sometimes it does take especially when you're dropping colors into a drawing, it takes some time to render out and see how the drawing will show up. But yeah, when it comes to Procreate and Adobe Fresco, both drawing apps are cool to draw in. The biggest advantage that Adobe Fresco has over Procreate is the fact that you can use vector brushes, and it's scalable to any size, and you can still keep the the crispiness of the line, which cannot be done in raster art. So with most of my drawings that I've done up until now, I've tried to do it in a vector format, so if I ever have to go back to it and reuse it, it's there and I can just make any of the changes that I want, like, if I needed to resize it down or maybe, increase the size. But yeah, so I just started drawing these lines to give the skull or the skeleton some more texture for the bones. And I think it's really cool to use the pen and get those nice tapered lines, and then they slowly get nice and beefy. But yeah, so now for the color part and choosing this. When I started coloring this fellow, there was no plan in the aspect of color. I just went with blue because it stood out on the white canvas. But the more I started coloring it, it made me think of the action figure Skeletor, which is in the wonderful He-Man. Takes me back to those good old days of watching He-Man and Skeletor. And what's funny about Skeletor is the character has a skeleton face, but he's got this muscular body, which makes no sense. But hey, it was a cool character for the time. So yeah, so as I said, I think the blue that is used for his character is more on the kind of like a sky blue side, and this blue was more of like I want to say royal blue. And what's funny is when you choose the color and when I look at it through the screen of the camera on the phone, it's completely different than what I see on the screen when I'm actually drawing it. So that's why before I start coloring, I usually play around with the colors to make sure that they'll actually show up nice when it's recorded. And that's when I go ahead and start the coloring part of it. So I've chosen these colors ahead of time. So the new thing that I've started doing now in my illustrations going forward is, you see the shading that I'm doing right now is basically what I've done is, and this is a tip from another artist that I've learned over the course of the last few months, and I've been using it in most of my drawings, is I choose the line art, which is the really dark shade of blue, for doing the shadowing. But the thing that he does different, and what I've learned is, you increase or you decrease the opacity of the color. So what ends up happening is you get an automatic shadow for the color that's below. So basically what you do is you select the color and then you turn down the opacity to about 20 or 30. That's what I usually do for these illustrations. And the color that you see over here now, it might look like it's a darker blue, but what it is, it's just the color from below showing as a translucent kind of transparent layer. But the best part about doing shading like this is, like, now say supposing if I decided I wanted to change up this blue and I didn't like how it was looking and I wanted to probably maybe change it up to a beige or an orange or a green or whatever, the shading would automatically translate to those colors, because I'm not really using a darker shade of blue over here. It's just the opacity that has been lowered. So it really helps when shading and changing up the color if that's what you want to do. So that's a good idea, or a good technique that I learned that I didn't know of. And what's cool is, yes, you can apply this in digital art, but say if this was something that I was doing traditionally, I could actually see what the colors would look like before making my color choices. that's another cool thing about digital art. What I like is, that you can look at something and what the color would look like, and if it doesn't look bright enough or dark enough, just change out the color and roll with it. But yeah, this type of shading is definitely something I'm gonna keep doing, and gotta love those horns. I stay next to a new highway or a bridge that's coming up, and for some odd reason, I think whenever a car or a bus happens to pass by our part of the highway or the road that's next to us, they feel the urge to blow their horn to let you know that they're passing by. And it's not one of those regular horns, it's more like those annoying kind of like touch. Go to make an illustration tutorial video, and there's all this white noise always in the background. So yeah, but as I was saying, is trying to remember what I was saying now. But yeah, coloring these illustrations and using this technique is really helpful. And let me know in the comments if you guys follow along and if you all try it and if you all like the technique, because I personally like it a lot. And what I'm also going to do is maybe in another piece, I'm actually going to try the spray spatter brush that is there and see how it comes out with that. I think it'll come out really cool as opposed to just these solid blocking in of colors. Yeah. The other thing what I like about this is, like, now with this color or the shade that it's automatically chosen because of the opacity, it almost makes the art look somewhat 3D because of how the color is chosen. And I've not tried the highlights like this, and because I'm not really sure how it would be done. I would have to play around with it some more. But pretty much what this is it's just a clipping mask over the color flats to get this shadow look. And excuse me, as the video progresses, you'll see that I tried and improvised my very own version of the highlights for the blue and the yellow in this. But yes, doing shadows is another thing. I think obviously that takes time. So what I usually do when I'm coloring something and I'm not sure how the shadow is gonna look, I have this lamp that I have on my table, and I have a little box of tissues that sits off to the right of me. And if I want to get an idea as to how the shadow would look, I just kind of lay it underneath it and see where the light hits the box and where's the shadows and where's the lights, and then just kind of use that as a point of reference when I'm coloring it. I mean, it's not a perfect way to learn shadow, but it is a start, because that's another thing that really makes an illustration pop. When you put those shadows in the right place with the highlights, it really brings out the illustration and it really looks cool. Because you can use flat colors and then it just looks cartoony, but when you add the shading in, it really gives depth to the art. And I think when I'm drawing sometimes, when I'm not recording, I'll just scroll through Pinterest and just observe all the different artists that have used different types of shading for their art, and see how they make each color look different. And I think I may have mentioned this in another video of an artist that's based out of New Zealand. His name, I think it goes by Inox. His style of shading is really cool, because when he does his shading, it almost looks like the illustration is kind of has like that neon look to it. So yeah, each artist has got their own spice and creativity that they bring to their art, and it's all about learning, you know, and improving. So yeah, I don't know, it's looking good so far. And then I tried this shadow technique for the nose. You can see how it gets that nice depth kind of a look. I mean, even though it's just a shadow, it almost looks like the nose kind of goes in, and it makes it look like it's not just flat on the surface. At this point, I kind of wanted to draw a little something in the eyes so it looks a little bit more goofier, like eyeballs, but then I was like, nah, you know, I'll just leave it as is. Let's see how it turns out. I really do like this blue color that I chose. I don't know, something about blue is very calming. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why a lot of people like going to the beach and just sitting down and, you know, observing the sunrise or sunset and just watching the waves kind of come back and forth against the shore. So now for the highlight part of the year, what I did was I just chose sky blue to kind of give it like that contrasting look, and it almost has like a neon look, and I think it came out pretty good, because otherwise usually what I would have done is I would have just chosen a lighter shade of this current blue that I'm using, but then it doesn't have that glow to it. So this one definitely has that nice glow kind of a look to it. It almost looks like as if the skull has got an on and off switch, and it's got like this electricity buzzing through it. I think it turned out really nice. It's all about trial and error when it comes to using color, I think personally, but if you use more, it tends to get too busy. So the key to using less colors is always seems to have a better finish for the illustration in the very end, because there's not a whole lot of flashing of colors that you gotta have to worry about. Like now for this one, for example, I chose the blue, and then I chose the orangish kind of a yellow because it kind of had like a good contrast with it. But then when I decided to do the the highlights, I wanted to try out something a little bit different, so I went with the sky blue, and as I said earlier on, I liked how it gives the illustration this nice kind of neon look to it. So yeah, I mean, you know, when you guys try this or any illustration in general, I mean, it's always good to kind of try and see what looks nice. And I think yellow and purples are definitely two colors that take a whole lot of trial and error to get a shadow and a highlight to show on those colors. But blues, not so much. But, yeah. What do you guys think so far? I know I said this was gonna be kind of like a tutorial video, and even though I'm doing it as a voiceover, it kind of helps in the aspect of trying to revisit what my thoughts were when I was actually creating the piece, which was early on today. And I don't know, I think sometimes voiceovers help in the aspect of, in my situation, because of the noise. But I think if you're recording it live and you're actually recording with the camera and the mic going up, well, obviously with the mic camera, with the mic going, your thought process is more accurate as to doing a voiceover. But I don't know, I think my opinion on doing a voiceover and doing it while I'm recording is two different opinions. I think maybe down the line, I don't know if I might. I really like the option that YouTube has where you have the option to go live and do an illustration and be able to interact with your followers. So I think that would be something nice to do later down the line. But yeah, these videos, I think when it comes to making them, it's definitely a game of time and trying to get a lot of information crammed into it. Like now this one ended up being, I want to say around 35, maybe I think 36 minutes after everything was said and done. And it's when you make these videos, I mean, it's like I try to stay between the 25 and 30 minute mark, but what ends up happening is because my phone's an older phone and I have to record and pull the footage off and then start recording, it's kind of hard to tell how much time has elapsed until I actually pull the video onto my editing software, and then it kind of like does the math and show me like, oh, okay, the video is up to like 28, 29, 30 minutes. So I think the 30-minute mark is good in between time between like the 10-minute video or the hour long. I mean, let me know what you guys think, if you all prefer something of this length, and or if you all prefer something shorter. I mean, if it's going to be something shorter, I'll probably do something way more simple. But yeah, so I want to try the highlight look even on the teeth over here. And at one point I think I did take it past the what is it, the shadow, and then the blue kind of just looked transparent in it, and there we see. So I didn't like how it turned out, so I just stopped it right over there. Yeah, I know the zooming back and forth kind of, I hope it doesn't hurt my followers' brains. But you gotta do it to see how everything is coming together. Because I mean, that's something I think when you're drawing traditionally, I mean, that you don't really get that perspective of zooming in unless you were to keep your face like maybe an inch away from the paper. But when you're drawing digitally, you have that access to be able to squeeze the paper and enlarge it and then reduce the size, and then So here's another different thing I tried for this video is use the eraser to take away some of the shadow to give it some sort of swoopy, kind of like a wave almost look. That's another one thing with doing t-shirt design is you learn how to use just 3 or 4 colors at the max and make the best use of it. Because I mean, at the end of it all, I mean, sometimes you end up having to turn off the line art layer, so all you're left is with just the color. And I think it's, if you're doing screen printing, it's the more colors you use, the more expensive it gets. And if you're using, I think, what is it, direct to garment or TTF, which is direct to film, it really doesn't matter. I have tried and printed a few of my designs with DTG. The biggest drawback I don't like in DTG is the fact that the image, after I want to say probably 12 washes, kind of starts to fade out a little bit. But now a screen printed design that I've had, and I think it's an old t-shirt that my wife had and had gifted me in college or from her university, is still going strong. I mean, and this is like probably well over 20 years old at this point. I mean, it just says the university name, University of Toledo, but the inks that we used, I think the paint that was used to make this t-shirt, or the design of the logo, is still so, I mean, it obviously it looks a little bit weathered now after so many years, but I mean, you can still tell what the design is. So yeah, I think it's all, again, that's also all about trial and error and seeing what you would like to provide. The DTG and DTF feature definitely have their pros and cons. If you want to run like a really streamlined operation, like, for selling t-shirts, but if you can do, I think, what is it, like a pre-order, and there are people that actually want your design and you can do it in a screen printing format, I think the screen printing format definitely has much more vibrant look to the colors. So yeah, I actually wanted to do some of my newer designs in a screen print look, or in a screen print format, but since I didn't have that many people order, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna have to stick with DTG for now. Alright guys, with that being said, kind of come to the end of the video. Hope you had fun following along and drawing, and we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Till the next time, keep creating, keep drawing. I will see you all down the road or on the other side. Take care. Bye for now.